In this Blender tutorial, I will show you how I created Mushroom Queen. I will focus on the concept process, also show you how to model the mushroom in real time, and give you a fun exercise that you can later on send your results on my Twitter. Make sure you get to that part. And last but not least, I will show you how to retopologize your characters. This video is full of fun and informative information, so make sure to watch till the end. Enjoy! Okay, so let's start off with the concept of the character. Now, sometimes I'd sketch the character ahead of time, but for this character, I just got into Blender and did the concept in the program. So we can see 5 steps over here, and in the first step, it was really fast. I just did a block of shapes. So you can see over here, we have just one block for the hair, one block over here, and then we have the strands. So I pulled the hair down, and this is basically where I just create spheres and just move them around with the grab brush in the sculpt mode. We can also see for the face, I didn't really add a lot of details, just added, the nose, the mouth, the eyes, just the basic shapes. I didn't really go too much into details. And then we have the clothes, so just a long shirt, and we have the legs. So this is basically just a sphere that I pulled down with the grab brush. Really simple, really fast. As for the minions, so we can see over here we have 2 small minions that I didn't really keep at the end of the concept, but we have the mushroom where I just used the sphere, and in the modeling I just basically pulled the shape until I got something that looked like a mushroom. Even for the eyes, we can see really basic shape. I just carved it in with the sculpt mode. So this is the first step, and once I was done with this, I started adding more details. So I started with the hair strands, and that was really quick, with hair curves. If you watch my channel, I already explained how to do this, and I have a tutorial for the hair, so you can check it out. And then I added a little more details to the face, so I added a little more expression. You can see that I added the eyelids, I added more, details for the mouth. I opened up the mouth over here because I knew at the final result that the mouth is going to be a bit open, as we can see in the 5th step. I'll get closer in a minute if this is a bit too small, so don't worry about that. For the clothes, I started designing the clothes, so I added more details. I added this neck support over here because, she's a queen, and I wanted to give her some dominance look, so I thought this really helped out. I also added these details for the clothes, so I pulled this down, and we can see this in the final result over here. So it's this and this over here, and I added just a quick shape for the shoes. Once I was happy with the concept at this stage, I went to step 3, where I started just moving around the character a bit just to have an idea of what the final pose will look like. So I knew that the body will be turned around a bit, and that she will have a sword on this hand over here. And that's pretty much it for step 3. For step 4, I started adding more details, refining the clothes more like. So you can see over here, I really refined the clothes, and I added the belts. I added the maple icon over here. And once I was done with this, I went to the final step where I started adding more details to the clothes. So I started sculpting the wrinkles and folds. I also added the little mushroom hat. I'm not really sure if anyone noticed this. I thought it was really cute. And I added more details for the mushroom. So I refined the mushroom. And finally, I finalized the pose. So you can see over here, the pose is very basic. And here she has the arms raised up for her mushroom troops that we see in the final result of the concept. So here, if I get closer, you can see the character in close-up because it was a bit far. So we can see I added all of the details. I sculpted the clothes all around. I even, raised the legs, and I made it so that she's basically dominating her troops. She's standing on the mushroom. And it's very important to work on this stage over here. So the concept, so instead of just sculpting the details and adding a lot of things, and then once you want to rig and add the pose, you might notice later on that you're not really happy with the final concept and you just wasted a lot of hours. So each step over here, it's something that I kept on developing while creating the character. So For example, when I was posing the character over here, I didn't really work on the character posed like this. Once I get to the stage where I refine the clothes, I'd create another blend file where I'd pose her and see if I'm happy with it. And then I'd continue, add more details like in the 5th step, and then pose her even further. Okay, so over here, I'll show you how to create this mushroom. This is actually quite simple and fun to do, and once I was done with the original one, I created different variations by playing around with the shapes of the mushroom caps, the body, the eyes, and everything else. In fact, I'm going to give you a fun little exercise. So I'm going to show you how to create this mushroom in real time, and I want you to create your own version and send it to me through Twitter. So just send me your results on Twitter. My Twitter is @YanSculpts. You can find it in a link in the description below. So without further ado, let's start. I'm going to switch to solid mode, Shift A, create a UV sphere, and then we will go to edit mode with the tab button, switch to edge selection mode with Control Tab edge over here. And once you do that, A to deselect everything, and then Alt Shift and select any edge to grab the edge loop, as you can see over here. And if you hit S, you can scale it up or down. Okay, so what I want you to do is go down over here, select this icon for proportional editing, and click on enabled. Once you do that, if you scale again, you'll notice that it's affecting the edges surrounding the one you selected. You can play around with the size of the proportional editing with your middle mouse button. So if you play around with the wheel, scroll it up and down, you can play around with the amount of effect it will do. So what we're going to do is just grab the lower vertices over here. So with B, you can box select this area, and then you can push it upwards in the Z axis. You can select the axis by just hitting the button, for example, Z on your keyboard, and it will just move it in the Z axis. So I'm gonna push it to over here, S for scale, Z again for the Z axis, 0 to flatten things out. Perfect. Once you do that, I will grab this over here. So again, you can do it in the edge selection mode, which is a bit easier. And once you do that, you can push it downwards, maybe scale it upwards a bit, like so. We're gonna create a slightly different version of the mushroom. I'll grab this edge over here, push it downwards, and then grab this edge and scale it with S, like so. And finally, I will switch back to, with Control Tab, to the vertex mode, because it's easier to select this vertex over here. I'll push it downwards and increase the size of the proportional editing with the middle mouse button. Maybe even scale this area a bit. And we have an interesting shape. I kind of like this. So we're going to go for this for now, and we'll play around with it later on if we need to. So what I'm going to do is add a modifier, subdivision surface modifier, increase the view over here, even switch the shading to smooth, and that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna go back with tab to edit mode and play a bit around with the shape. Now that it's smoothed out, I think we can decrease the size over here, just push it downwards like so. There you go, that's pretty cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create the cap. So the cap is quite similar, Shift A, mesh, UV sphere, and then I will just push it upwards in the edit mode and play around with the shapes exactly the same way I did with the body. So maybe even push this part and scale it down like so, and then grab this part over here and push it downwards. There you go, that's pretty cool. And then if you want to get something more similar to this one, you can just grab the edge loop over here and scale it downwards like so, but I'm going to keep it this way just to create something a bit different. And once I'm done, I'm going to do the same. So add a modifier, subdivision surface, view 2, apply, smooth. And the reason I applied it is because now I can go to sculpt mode and actually play around with the shape in sculpt mode. I'm going to activate the X symmetry over here, and I will push this downwards over here. There you go. And yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I like it this way. You can even smoothen things out with shift. So to smooth this area over here, and it's looking pretty cool. Okay, so I will go out of sculpt mode, and then I will create the eyes. So for the eyes, it's actually quite simple. If we take a look at the original one over here, It's really a simple shape with a lot of modifiers, and we will recreate all of these modifiers with the new mushroom, so don't worry about it. So let's go back to this mushroom over here. With Shift A, I am going to create a cylinder, and then I will go to the side, edit mode with tab, R for rotate, 90 for 90 degrees. And once you do that, I will just go to the face with Control Tab, so face selection mode. I'll grab this face over here and just delete the vertices with X, and you'll have this left. Okay, so over here, I will scale it down and push it to the right here. I think this is a good place to add it. I'll get it a bit closer, and then I'll add I. So I'll hit I in the keyboard for inset. And this is basically just to add a supporting edge for when we add a subdivision surface and a solidify modifier later on. Okay, once I'm done with this, I will grab the whole thing, push it a bit backwards to get it a bit closer to the mushroom body, and then I will add a mirror modifier. There you go. Maybe I'll push it a bit to the right like this. And after I add a mirror modifier, I will add, let's see, a shrink wrap modifier. So it's this one over here. And then I'll select with this, the body. So just click on this picker and select the body. And when you do that, it basically sticks to the body. So if you hit the Z button, you can see it on the mushroom's body. So you can actually offset the thing a bit to see what's going on. There you go. And then you can add a solidify modifier to add some thickness. So play around with the thickness over here. Actually, let me put the offset back to 0. I don't really need it anymore. And take a look. So it's doing it on the other side. And we can basically just change this to minus. Just add a minus over here to get it outwards, or just play around with it. Just scroll it until you get the value that you want. And once you're done with that, we will add a subdivision surface. You can even increase the view if you want something smoother. And there you go. So what we're going to do right now, you can see it's really deformed, and that's because the vertices are very far away from the body, the top ones. So I'm just going to rotate this like so, and you can see it fixed the deformation. Gonna get it a bit closer. And once you're done with that, you can play around with the shape. So I'm going to scale it upwards like so. There you go. That's pretty nice. And then we will create the mouth. So for the mouth, again, it's actually really the same thing. Basically vertices and the same modifiers. So what we're going to do is we'll grab the eyes and we will just duplicate it. So Shift D to duplicate the eyes. I'm going to go to edit mode with tab, grab all of the vertices with A, and then Alt M at center. Make sure you hit Control Tab and you select the vertex mode so that you can see the vertex over here. Click A on your keyboard to select it. There you go. And I'll just push it to the middle, push it outwards a bit so that we can see where it is. And I will click on clipping. The reason I'm going to hit clipping is that when we go to the middle, it will stick to the middle. So it won't go over the middle like it can right now if I deselect the clipping. But before I do that, I'm just going to hit E to extrude the edge and get an edge out of the middle. Because once you put this in the middle over here with clipping activated, if you hit E to extrude, you can't extrude it out of the middle. You're gonna have to deactivate it again. So that's why I extruded the vertex before I did the clipping. Okay, so for now, I'm going to disable proportional editing, and I will basically just, let's see, create the shape of the mouth with E. So I'm just hitting E to extrude, and then I will basically just grab the whole thing, E again to extrude again, and there you go. So if you hit double G, so GG twice instead of once, it will basically slide on this line. So I'm going to do that, and let's see. I think this will look pretty good. You can select this icon over here to see what's going on in the edit mode, and you can see the other side of the mirror. Okay, perfect. So right now I will pull this upwards to get a better shape for the mouth, a cuter one, and maybe even push this a bit to the left, like so. And take a look at the result, which we can't see because wow, we have the shrink wrap modifier activated and it's sticking to the face. Now the reason it's not sticking out with the solidify modifier is probably because it's actually going inwards. Yep. So if you grab everything, hit Ctrl N to recalculate the normals, it will go outwards. Or you could have just changed the thickness over here. Okay, so right now we have this, which is actually looking pretty cool with the new mushroom. I kind of like it. I'm gonna play around with the position over here so that doesn't deform as much. So rotate this like so. And yeah, that's actually pretty cool. You can also add some supporting edges. So maybe Ctrl R over here to add a ring like so. And that looks pretty well. Pretty good. Okay, so for the cheeks, for this red area that we can see in the final result, it's actually pretty similar to the eyes. So again, I'm going to grab the eyes over here, duplicate it with Shift D, and I will grab the vertices, push them downwards. I can even scale them. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to rotate it upwards again, like so that I can play around with the shape easier. And I'll scale it in the Z axis. There you go. And then I'll scale it upwards and push it to the side. Maybe even rotate it a bit to see if it looks better that way. No, I actually like it downwards like that. Why not? I will rotate it back to something closer to the body. Scale it down a bit. Let's take a look. And yeah, that actually looks pretty cool. So once you're done with that, you can always go back to the rest of the body so you can play around with the shape, and the eye will stick to it, as you can see. Even the cheeks and the mouth. So you can do something really cool by playing around and doing different variations for the mushrooms. And that's pretty much why I created the eyes and everything else with this method, so that I can easily create different variations later on. So once you're done with your version of the mushroom, you can always send it to me through Twitter, again at YanSculpts, and you'll find it in a link in the description below. In this section, I'll show you how I retopologize this character. If you don't know what retopology is, it's basically creating a lower poly version of your sculpts. So over here, you can see that I pretty much did it for all of the elements of Mushroom Queen. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that usually I do not retopologize my sculpts. Reason is, it's really time consuming. So why did I retopologize this specific one? Well, with a retopologized character or a lower poly version of your character, you get a lot of benefits. For example, rigging becomes a lot easier. With this character, the rig required a lot of work, a lot of tinkering and fixing. And that's because she has a lot of different elements such as clothes overlapping, accessories, and it is somewhat of a dynamic pose. So for that reason, I thought a lower poly version of her would be easier to work with. Also, it makes the character look smoother and clean, so the mesh has no bumps, as you can see over here, which again you can get with Dynamesh and your sculpt without any retopology. And in fact, I've been doing it with all of my previous sculpts, but it still makes it easier. Also, it makes unwrapping easier and texturing as well. In the end, it really depends on you to decide whether it's worth spending time retopologizing your character or not. Now I'm going to show you how to quickly set up retopology for your character. Shift A, create a plane, tab to go to edit mode, push everything to the right so that we can see the vertices, Control tab to make sure you are at vertex select mode, Alt M to merge everything at center, go down over here and click on snap elements, so it's this icon over here, go to the icon right beside it, select it and make sure that the snap element is set at face. Once you do that, if you grab the vertex with G, and put it over anything, it will snap to the face, as you can see. Perfect. So at this point, we will add a modifier, which is mirror, and then we will select this icon, which will allow us to see the vertex on the other side as well. So as you can see over here. And then once you do that, I will put the vertex over here and extrude it with E, so E for extrude, and then I will extrude it to the middle. Now right now you can see that it's going over the middle, which is not good. So we want to activate clipping so that it does not go over the mirror. There you go. So right now it basically sticks to the middle and you can't go over it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is create a loop around the mouth. So E for extrude, and there you go. And then I'm going to create another set of loop respecting the amount of vertices that I created, as you can see. And once you do that, you can select two vertices over here, F to close this one, and then F again. Keep on clicking on F to close off the loop. So if you hit Control Tab, face, and then Alt Shift Select, you will basically select this loop. And this is basically what we're looking for when we do retopology. The way I like to do it is I like to focus on the main loops. So generally, just to keep things simple, we have a loop around the mouth, around the nose, around the eyes, around the ears. And then once I'm done with these main loops, I like to close things off, which makes things a lot easier. Now, if you are not going for animation, how clean your topology is not really that important. So for now, we won't really focus on that. Let's just get things started. So Shift D to duplicate the vertex over here, and I'll create another loop around the mouth. So E for extrude, as you can see, there you go. And then I will extrude around the mouth over here. And then I can close it off. So F to close everything off. And this is actually good. Over here, we can see that the shading is a bit weird. So let me just separate this so that you can see what's going on. And that's basically because the normals are not on the right side. So if I hit N and I go to, let's see, if I go down over here in edit mode to normals and I select this, we can see that for this loop, the normals are going outwards, and for this one, for the other one, it is going inwards, and that will create a set of problems later on if you don't fix it. So it's actually quite an easy fix. A to select everything, Control N, and it will recalculate and set the normals right. There you go. Okay, so Control N. Anyways, I will go back to this area over here, tab to go to edit mode, and with vertex, I can continue working. Just a little tip, if you go to this icon over here, you can go down and activate X-ray, and you'll be able to better see what's going on. So I can basically create a loop for the eyes. There you go, a real quick one, just for this demonstration. And once you're done, I can create another one, as you can see. So again, E to extrude, quite simple, and then you just select on the area. Oops. And then I will close everything off with F. As you can see, the shading is off, so A to select everything, Control N. I'm going to remove this, we don't really need it. Okay, once we are at this point, we can start basically matching the vertices. So at this point, if I just close things off like this, it's going to stretch a lot, the planes, which is not good. So we can figure out ways to do it differently. So for example, we can extrude this vertex over here and create a pole. So a pole is basically when one vertex has more than 4 edges. So if I just close things off so that you can see what it will look like. There you go. Bam. So right now this is a pole, right? Here, this edge, this vertex over here has 3 edges, and if I continue creating the topology, it will have 4. So okay, this one over here, it has 4, so 1 2 3 4, and then this one, this pole, it has 5, which is what we're looking for when we basically want to switch the direction of the loop. Okay, so let's continue. Over here we can create another pole probably, so I'm going to grab this face, delete it, we don't want this. And we can, let's see, create a pole maybe over here, and then close things off. Whoops. There you go. Okay. And I can hit Control R to create a ring over here, and then I can close this off and then continue creating the topology. And as you can see, it becomes quite easy at a point. And we have the pole over here. Generally, we don't really want to have it in the eyelid, so what we can do is we can create a loop over here, and then move this away, as you can see. There you go. Because you don't want to add poles where there might be some animation. So the eyelids, you can close them off, and if there's a pole, it can cause some issues. So that's why I am moving it away from the eyelids. And there you go, perfect. So right now the pole is over here. It's not in an area that will be animated, which is good. And then we can close this off. We can, with Control R, create a loop over here, and then just grab the vertices and basically snap them to the face. Over here, we can do the same. We can close things off. There you go. Extrude. And this becomes second nature with practice. It's really not that difficult once you get used to it. And you can clean things up later. Don't worry about what it looks like right now. And again, generally, if you're not going to animate your character or animate the face, you don't really have to worry about the topology that much and the edge loops as much as you would if obviously you want to rig your character. So just going to continue just a bit before I end the video. There you go. And we can probably create another pole right over here. Like so. There you go. And close this off. And as you can see over here, now we have another pole, just like this one right here. And yeah, that pretty much sums up what I was trying to teach for this section. We can continue closing off the face. And don't worry, I'll make a separate video on retopology and go more into it and how to retopologize everything and, you know, when to do what, basically. Because it is a subject on its own, and I think it deserves a separate video. So yeah, you can obviously continue and just create a loop for the ellipse. You can go down like that, and then later on, if you want to add more details, you can always with Control R add a loop, and then you just grab the vertices and you basically snap them to the character. There you go. And for the nose, you'd probably want to create a loop around, you know, something like that. And you can connect it later on, like so. Oops, there you go. And see, sometimes the vertices won't match. You can simply just grab two vertices over here. With W, subdivide, grab this one, set it where it should be, and then you can close things off properly. Probably would need a loop over here. So with Control R, I created a ring so that I can create a pole, and I didn't want to create it on the edge over here. So instead, I will create it right here. See, I just created a pole. There you go. And yes, I just saw the shading over here. It looks a bit off. So A and then Control N. There you go. It fixed it. And we will close this off. Like so. Just something real fast. F to close it off. And then we can close this as well. And let's see, Control R to create a loop over here. Move things around. It's always a good idea to keep things even. Right now they're not even, but I usually work on that later on. At first, I just do something really quick to get a good feel on the topology that I'm going for. And then I can later on just even the planes out. So basically the squares over here, they should look a bit even. It'll be a lot better later on. There you go. I can add a loop over here and close things off. And yeah, you basically continue doing that until you get the desired results. And if this is really difficult for you, then just wait for the video that I'll do on retopology and I'll get more into details with that. But for now, I will delete this, go to tab over here, and that's pretty much how I did the retopology for this face. Quite simple, and I went around all of the head over here, until I was done. And that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a like, share it with your friends. Also, don't forget to share your results of the mushroom exercise that I gave you in this video on my Twitter. My Twitter is @YanSculpts. You can find a link in the description below to it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more awesome character sculpts and art related videos. You can also check out my store for full courses on character sculpting, texturing, materials, brushes, and more. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, then you will definitely enjoy the next one.